Welcome to Make Your Mark podcast, where guests share their experiences, insights, and tactics to help you accelerate your business. So building, scaling, and monetizing your business is made easier. And I will be your host, Suthar. Okay, oh my goodness, guys. I have got an epic guest for you today. Now, her name is Maddy. I actually met her last year in December at a Christmas party. And oh my goodness, the first thing that I actually realized from her, not only does she have a great personality, but her hair is amazing. Right, exactly. And so we got talking and she told me a little bit about what she does. And I was like, oh my goodness, I need to have her on this show. So here she is, and we're going to be getting into the nitty gritty. Maddy, oh my goodness, I'm super excited to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Kay. I'm really excited about doing this. Super excited. So let's do it.
Definitely. Now, okay, I'm just going to let the audience know I have been stalking you out on social media a little bit. There's been some things that I've seen, and we will be discussing them, right? Because I really want to know a little bit about the background, like what was going on then. I'm sure the audience are going to want to know too. So, guys, if you're listening to this or watching this, stay tuned because we will be getting into all of this a little bit later. But Maddy, oh my goodness. Before we get into all of that, I would love for you to introduce yourself and let people know, a little bit about what you've been doing now. Also, where that all came from. Like, what was your journey like? Because we all know it doesn't just happen on the click of a finger, right? So what did that journey look like for you?
Yeah, so I describe myself as a multi-potentialite. So I kind of like to say, I'm a jack of all trades, master of some. Some of them I'm absolutely great at, but I do a lot of things, and sometimes that can come across a little bit confusing to people. Some people know me as Maddy, the money specialist, because I was that for a really long time before I started my current business. But what I do now is I help people from underrepresented and marginalized backgrounds, which quite often includes disabled people, neurodivergence, the queer community, the trans community, basically I try and be as inclusive as possible. So I could list every single community that is underrepresented, but no one has time for that. But I work with people who are often kind of people who feel like they're unseen, people who have hidden struggles, or when they show up online, they're worried about getting trolled, or they're worried about people judging them for the way they are, the way they act, their brain type, the color of their skin. And I am so super passionate about helping people to have a voice. So I help people to essentially run their business in a way that feels authentic to them, so that they can show up online in a way that feels aligned with their values, their morals, their ethics, so that they can make more money. So in a blunt way of saying it, I'm a business coach, but it's so much more than that. I help people with strategy, with messaging, with content, with how they're showing up in the world. Because when we show up in a way that feels aligned to us, A, it gives us more confidence. B, it helps people to know whether we're the right person for them to work with or not. And it also completely and utterly repels the people that we don't want to work with, which saves us a lot of time.
Absolutely, it does. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Maddy, how did you decide that you're going to build this kind of business? Because it sounds like you probably went through some ups and downs and came across this on your journey.
I did. So my first business, which was a money saving business, that was going for 6 years. I stumbled into business when I got made redundant. I had no idea that I wanted to make a business, but I'd never really felt like I fitted in the world of work. I felt suppressed, I guess. When I worked in corporate, I had very pink hair underneath, and I had brown on top, and I always had it down, and it was always is my manager going to tell me off? Am I going to so I didn't feel like I could be the person who I was meant to be when I was in the corporate world. And I discovered I was really good at social media when when I was running my first business, like I had no training. I just basically picked it up as I went along. Occasionally I would, go and see what was working for other people, and I'd try and replicate it in my own way. And it all kind of really took off. And I had a really successful business. It started out as a discount card for Hampshire, and then I grew it to like Wiltshire and Dorset, and then it suddenly took off. And during the pandemic, when we all went online, I kind of used that opportunity and I franchised the business. So I had like local discount cards across the country, and I was winning awards and being featured in the press and being asked to come on podcasts. And like I got super, super duper visible. And I absolutely loved it. And I worked with about 4,000 small businesses to help them to get more customers. And during that time, I learned a lot about business. And because I worked with such a wide variety of people in all different walks of life, people would come to me and they'd be like, "Oh, Maddy, can you help me with this? Can you help me with my marketing? Can you help me with a business plan? Can you help with all these things?" And I did that for about 4 years, unpaid. Like
Oh,
totally and
wow.
utterly unpaid. The only thing that I charged for was the subscription to my discount card, which was like,
Wow. How long ago was this?
so I started it in 2017. So I've been self-employed since 2017. And it came to a catastrophic halt in 2020, really. Basically, when the pandemic hit, nobody could shop local anymore. So they couldn't actually use
Mm.
my discount card. So
Okay.
franchising something that was really successful and growing to like 27 franchisees and having everybody talking about my amazing business, and it like, I raised £250,000 in investment, and it was doubling turnover year on year, and it was going really well. And then overnight it was like, yep, your business is basically null and void now, so you can't run it anymore. And I'm
Hmm.
stubborn, like super stubborn. So I refused to admit that the pandemic was a thing. I was like, nope, nope,
Right.
nope. We're going to be allowed out again
Yeah.
soon. I will keep this business
I love
going. It's
it.
all fine. So I took on quite a lot of debt for the business to try and keep it afloat, to the sum of £80,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And seemed like a great idea at the time because, of course, the business was still running and it was all good. And then
But
finally,
wait,
when we were
where did that £80,000 go? Like, what were you spending it on?
I built an app. And
Oh,
just for anybody who's thinking about building an app, £80,000 does not touch the sides. It
stop
was
it, really?
no, oh, honestly, I went through like four different app developers, still didn't get it right. So I spent the money that I borrowed trying to create this thing, which it was a beast, and it was a money pit,
Mm.
like absolutely draining. I ended up like 2 years down the line, still trying to save it whilst recovering from intense burnout. During that period, I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I was like, oh, okay. So I've kind of been trying to run my business like a neurotypical would, when actually my brain is completely different. And so I started to learn a few different things about my brain, and it made not only my money story make sense, but it also made my business story make sense as well. And I came to the conclusion that I was going to die if that business wasn't removed from my life. It
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
I was so badly burned out. I was depressed. I was,
Mm.
at times, I didn't want to be here. And so I told my investors that I was going to close the business because it was £80,000 in debt. It was not making any money, and I couldn't see the future.
Mm.
They pushed me into a corner. They made me carry on. They made me take out more debt.
Oh,
I
wow.
ended up feeling so resentful towards that business and just feeling like I was a complete and utter failure. Eventually, when I did close the business, my investors basically contested everything. They wouldn't let me close it down. So it's still floating around out there in the ether. Like occasionally I'll still get debt collectors' letters from HMRC. But I couldn't actually close it because when you go to liquidate a business, unless all of the shareholders agree, you can't close it. So I basically ended up in a stalemate, and I got death threats from people that I owed money to. I had a
Wow.
horrendous journey. I sold the assets of the business. I went to work for the people who took over the business. And they were like, Maddy, you're so good at this. You're so good at the marketing. You're so great. Like, we'd love you to be CEO. And I said, oh, okay. How much are you paying me? And they were like, the same that we've offered you. And I was like,
Hmm.
you guys can go and jump off a bridge because I'm not doing this. So at that point, I left with absolutely no idea what I was going to do. Like, I had not got a clue. I didn't have any money. So I started my TikTok account and it grew really fast. Like, I just thought, like, I've got a world's worth of knowledge of money, and now I've got this new disability, and it's making everything make sense. So I'm going to learn more about ADHD. So I learned loads about ADHD, and I decided that I was going to sign up to a neurodiversity practitioner course. So I trained as a neurodiversity specialist.
Got a question here before we move forward, right? 'Cause there's something really interesting that you said a little bit earlier on where you realized that your brain worked differently to most people,
Yeah.
right? How did you come about that? Like, what was the thing that was the light bulb moment for you?
My son's school said to me, Ben's got ADHD. And I said, well, what makes you think that? Because he's not like a naughty little boy or anything. And they were like, you know, you don't have to be a naughty little boy to have ADHD. Girls can have it too. Adults can have it. And I was like, oh, okay. Did not know
Mm.
that. I had no knowledge of it whatsoever. So I went away and fell down a TikTok rabbit hole, started researching it. And then while I was researching it, I was like, oh. And every single thing, I was like, that's me. That's me. That's me. And like, I'm going to be honest, I completely forgot about my son's diagnosis. We've only just got him diagnosed like 4 years later because I was so like in my own world going, oh my God, this is me. This is a light bulb moment. Like everything's changed. So I learned more about it. And the more I learned, the more like just everything in my life made sense. Like it was that penny drop moment where I suddenly felt like I understood myself. And
Mm.
so I naturally wanted to go and get a diagnosis. So I got on the waiting list for the NHS. And in that time I got a private diagnosis. But the company that I got a private diagnosis from, they went bust. And then I ended up questioning myself. I was like, well, they told me I've got
Oh,
ADHD, but they've clearly gone bust. So they can't be that good as a company. So maybe I don't have ADHD, as if it's not totally
oh,
obvious.
wow.
So I waited for the NHS. I went down the right to choose pathway, which essentially made it quite quick. Whilst I was having my ADHD diagnosis, my psychiatrist said to me, she was like, you know you're autistic as well, right? I was like, no, I'm not autistic. Really not autistic. Like, no, I'm not autistic. So anyway, I refused to take what she said on board. Started my ADHD medication. And as soon as I started my ADHD medication, and it was like the ADHD was not removed, but it was like I had more clarity because suddenly my brain went quiet, and I was like, it was
Oh,
so weird. I remember like driving down the road and being like, this is what silence like sounds like. I mean, silence can't sound like anything, but it was
right.
like there was nothing in there. And I was used to having like 70 channels all playing at the same time with like, oh, you forgot to turn the straighteners off, you forgot to close the door, like you haven't told this person that you don't want to work with them anymore, you haven't done this or you haven't done that. And I'm like, like
Interesting.
honestly, my brain was so busy. And as soon as that kind of layer of ADHD was kind of like dulled down a little bit, all of a sudden I was so autistic it was unreal. Like I put a jumper on, like my favorite jumper that I've worn every day for like a year, and all of a sudden I'm like, this is so itchy, get it the fuck off of me, like I can't do this, like people, gross, I can't do like, and I'd go to,
Right.
yeah, honestly, it was. And then it was a decision of like, do I want to be more ADHD or do I want to be more autistic? Do I want to be like so discombobulated and my brain being all over the place? But actually, when I take my meds, I'm like quiet. I can focus on stuff. This is brilliant. And like I was getting so much done in the business. And now I'm on a specific type of meds, which is really, really good. And I can basically pick and choose when I use it. So, for example, if I'm going to an event where I need to be really peoply, I
Hmm.
won't take my meds because otherwise I become so autistic that I don't want to be in an area where there's like other people. And that's a really weird sensation. So when I realised that I'm ADHD, which is ADHD and autism, that was when I decided that actually this is a thing that I really want to help people with. Because if I've gone 37 years without understanding my brain,
Wow.
technically 40, because I got my official diagnosis for both when I was 40, I need to be able to help other people with this. So I did a neurodivergent, and I thought, well, I could do an ADHD practitioner course, or I could do an autism one, or I can like, and actually the neurodiversity specialist one that I did was everything. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I learned about all of the neurodivergent conditions and realized I have all of them.
Oh,
Um,
stop. What?
yeah,
Oh
I
my
call it my fruit
God.
bowl. It's like, oh, I'll just add another piece of fruit here, and I've got like apples and pears and like all of these things. And it's like, it's, it was honestly just really liberating. And I think when a
Mhm.
lot of people get their diagnosis, they feel like a sense of loss because they're kind of grieving for the life that they had and like all of these what ifs, like what if this situation hadn't happened to me? What happens if like, I hadn't have reacted to this person in this way? And when you know and understand your brain and you understand why you made the decisions you made, it makes
Mhm.
everything make sense. And then I was like, I have to write a book about this. Like, I really have
Ooh,
to write a book.
yeah.
So, like, that was where the idea for Mad About Money came from.
Hmm.
I just thought, like, I have to put this into words, and I spent a year writing it. And as a dyslexic person, I mean, I've known I was dyslexic since I was like 6 years old. So that was the
Okay.
one neurodivergent
Wow.
condition I
Yeah.
knew I had from like earlier.
Right.
But they all coexist with each other. So often, if you've got ADHD, you will probably have something else as well.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, it's very, very common. And I have all of them. One of the ones that was the most interesting to learn about was actually there were two, like dyspraxia. I have been the clumsiest person in the world ever. Like, I mean, I'll give you an example. In the space of 3 minutes last night, I was cooking the kids' dinner, and because they've both got ARFID, which means that they are very much like they only eat specific foods. So I was
Oh,
cooking them both separate dinners because that's what happens in my
wow.
house. It's very annoying. But I know which foods are safe for them and which ones aren't. And I was doing like I remember I set the air fryer to cook Ben's food, but I set it for longer because quite often it doesn't cook properly, and I was like,
Okay.
but I'll stop it like a couple of minutes before, and then it won't get burnt. Forgot to do that because I opened a cupboard, a bottle of Liam Perrin's sauce fell out of the cupboard into the
Mm.
dog's bowl, splashed water all over my trousers, bounced out again, landed on my foot, made me jump, and I was like, ouch. Stood up, hadn't closed the cupboard door, whacked my head on the cupboard door, tried to close
Mm.
it, shut my boob in the cupboard. And I'm like, this is, oh, and then the food, obviously the food burnt as well. And I'm like, I am
Oh,
the most
no.
dyspraxic person ever. Like, I'm a walking disaster area. I just so happen to be a walking disaster area that's really good at business coaching. So, luckily for my
Wow.
clients,
Yeah.
but
Oh
like,
my goodness. That
life is
that that is
lifey.
yes, super cool story. Oh my goodness. Okay. So wait, do you still do these things? These things still happen to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like all of the ADHD mishaps or like fuck ups as I refer to them in the book, there have been so many things that, if I'd have known that I had ADHD and I'd known and understand my brain, probably wouldn't have happened. But I'm kind of
Mm.
one of these people that's like everything happens for a reason. And if I hadn't have been through all of those things, I wouldn't have had a book to write. If my
Yeah.
business hadn't have gone catastrophically wrong, I wouldn't have had that story to tell. I wouldn't have learned what I've learned about relationships and collaborations and working with people and doing my research and my due diligence and like all of these things. And I feel like all of those things have led to me being the business owner that I am today. And so when I started my new business, which was, I mean, realistically, like I faffed around for about a year when I didn't really know what I was
Okay.
doing, and I
Yeah.
created Mad About Money as the app, and it never really took off. Like we had loads of downloads, like loads of people wanted it to take off, but it just didn't really work as how it was.
Mm.
And then I redid one to many actually, like last. last year in April. And I thought, like, what do I actually want to do? Like, I'm a trained neurodiversity specialist. I'm a business strategist. I am somebody who loves working with people, and I like working with like lots of people. I prefer working with lots rather than like
Right.
one-to-one. I mean, I do a lot of one-to-one stuff as well, but I prefer working with groups. So I thought, like, I'll start a membership. So I started my membership last April. I've now got nearly 400 people in my membership. It is a flying success. Like, I
Wow.
absolutely love it. And off the back of that membership, I now do things like strategy days and like in-person events and
Yeah.
online events and networking stuff. And I have like it's really a brilliant lead magnet and a good funnel because it's a low cost membership. It's £20 a month. People come in at the top of my funnel and then they see me and I do loads of
Yeah.
trainings for them and I help them with loads of different areas of business. Because I think that's the thing with being a multi-potentialite. Sometimes it's quite hard to position yourself
Mhm.
because I'm really good at visibility and strategy and
Right.
sales. And like people wouldn't necessarily think, oh, Maddy's a sales specialist. But actually, I was in corporate doing sales for 15 years, and it's just
Right.
sales is very much a mindset thing. So it was about bringing all of those things together, almost like a mixtape of all of the different tracks that I've had over the years, and just working out what I was good at and how I wanted to help people. And then I kind of landed on the fact that actually, when you try and write your LinkedIn headline 75 times and it still doesn't feel right, that actually you just have to accept that you are a
Yeah.
multi-potentialite and you do a lot of things. So
Right. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. And I love the fact that your hair matches your brand. Like, or your
always.
your book cover matches your
Book
hair. Like,
cover,
I
yeah.
love
I mean, even I've even got a tattoo of like the tape that's on my book cover. Like you see, it's on here,
Oh
look
my
as well.
goodness.
So that's my tattoo, and I'm actually getting
Oh,
these two as well soon. So
oh wow.
yeah, it's quite
I love
exciting. Like
that.
yeah, and my
And
my brand is now like. But I think that was another thing that I didn't really know who I was and what my brand should
yeah.
be and how coherent it should be. And like now it's very much like I have got lots of different arms and I'm in the process
Mm,
of like redoing my because I've got two websites at the moment. Both of them are equally
yeah.
crap. And I'm about to scrap both of them and have a one-stop shop. And I'm going to have Mad About Money
Right.
and Mad About Business. So there's two distinct like sides.
Hmm.
And it also gave me the name of book number two. So Mad About Business. That's like what I'm currently
Oh,
writing. So yeah, that's
oh,
coming soon.
amazing.
Maybe not
Oh, I
soon,
love
like
that.
a year. I mean, it took me a year to write that one, so like don't sit there waiting for it.
So not
But
next week. Not next week.
no,
No.
no, I need to book my solo holiday so I could go away and actually like properly get it all down on paper.
Yeah.
But also as well, I've decided to like my podcast it's been going for like nearly 2 years now. So Mad About Money is basically an interview series where I interview people about their interesting money stories. And that like money stories can be literally anything, like from people's experience growing up to people's businesses starting to like how they make money, like how they're showing up in the world. And
Mm.
it's an awesome podcast. I love doing it, but it's not just for business owners. And I thought about it and I was like I did a few solo episodes recently and I really
Mhm.
enjoyed doing them. And I thought actually the solo episodes don't really fit with this series. So I'm actually starting a second podcast. You're probably going to tell me that I'm a crazy person. Um,
Well, no,
but
if you can do it, then you can do it, right? Like, as long, like, I would say no usually, but you are someone that can do multiple things at the same time.
Right. And I think
Mm,
actually it's going to add more value to my brand and it's going to be something that helps me to get more visible. Because the one thing about like interviewing people about their money stories, yes, it educates the audience about their money journey. And of course, I
right.
do give tips and add value there, but it's not necessarily the business audience I want to do. So
Yeah.
Mad About Business is coming at the end of the month. It is solo episodes. I'm not interviewing anybody. There is never going to be any guests. It's literally just me
Mm,
chatting business shit to people.
yeah, I
And
love it.
the episodes are like around between like 7 and 15 minutes long.
Okay.
So they're like ADHD bite size, like you can consume multiple ones in a small sitting, and I'm covering, like, I mean, I had the idea, I mean, this is how an ADHD brain works. I mean, I had the idea for this podcast on Tuesday. I've recorded 15
Wow.
episodes already.
Stop it. Oh, wow. It's like, oh my God, it's like an average person being on steroids.
Absolutely. And I mean, essentially, that's what ADHD medication is, really. It's like, it's essentially like a legal version of speed. So
Oh my goodness. Wow. Now,
when I hyper focus on something, man, I get shit
yeah,
done. I really do. Like,
I love that. I love that. Now, Maddie, I want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier as well, regards to social media. You've been really, really good with social
mm,
media, and I've been checking your social media out.
yeah,
Okay. There was something that came about, and I was so shocked. I was shocked at what you were saying, but not because of you were saying it, but what actually happened to you and the reason why you were speaking out. And this is one of the
yeah,
things that I do like about your social media is you don't care what people think. You don't
I,
care if it's controversial, right? You're there to speak the truth. And I did see a post where you did mention that, you're doing TikTok, you're doing really well on TikTok. And then you went for, I think it was called a reward scheme, or so you can monetize it. And I saw something where they would not let you, they would not approve you on that particular program.
well, it's worse than that,
Oh
actually.
no.
So
Okay.
what happened was, I've been in the TikTok monetization program for the past like year and a half. And
Okay.
on average, each month it was bringing me 1.5 grand.
Hmm.
And I did a video in support of my trans friends, and
Okay.
they decided that they were going to ban me from the Creator Rewards program, cutting off 1.5 grand a
No.
month of my income. Yep, because I was
Oh,
supporting
wow.
trans people. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
They haven't reinstated it.
They haven't?
No, nope. I appealed it. They still said nope, nope, nope. This is like you, like apparently, like what I was basically, I said trans women are women, trans men are men. And that apparently is me being like I didn't fall within their community guidelines. So
Interesting.
yeah. Um so
Oh my goodness.
I will always speak the truth, and also I will
Yeah.
always stand up for people in my community who are having a
Mhm.
tough time, and sometimes it's to my own detriment. There have been other things this year, like, I've had several times where the press have literally preyed on me.
What?
Like,
Why?
oh God, I was on the front page of the Daily Telegraph in January for being in inverted commas, sickfluencer. So a sickfluencer is
Wait,
somebody
what?
who, somebody who persuades people that they're sick in order to get them to claim benefits, which is not what I do. I help people who have got disabilities to claim the money that they are entitled to, and a lot of people don't know about it. But of course, the government don't like that, because I'm there going,
Mm.
hey, did you know there's this pot of money available? If you've got a disability and you've got a business, you can claim that money. And yeah, the press basically threw me under
Wow.
the bus. Yeah, front page of the Telegraph. I was in the Daily Mail, and then it happened again in April. Same thing. So
Wow. I mean, they
yeah,
do say that bad press isn't, is good press, right? But I mean, it depends
yes.
on how they convey you as a person.
Well, I mean, they conveyed me as I mean, and I get called this a lot. Like, I am like the wokest person in the world, basically. And I'm like, do you know what? I'm really flattered. Thank
I
you,
was gonna
because I
say,
woke
yeah.
means that I am awake and I am listening.
Hmm.
So like, when I get called these things, it's like, oh, she's a big lefty. Like, I'm like, yeah,
Oh
and
my
what's your
goodness.
problem?
Wow.
So but actually, those articles, because of the fact that I went and did TikToks about the articles with them in the background, and I said, like, this is the truth, this is how they portrayed me, but this is my truth, and all of those went viral. I ended up getting like 7,000 new followers across my platforms, and
Wow.
it was actually a really, really good opportunity to promote myself and grow my audience before the book came out. So thanks, Daily
Yeah.
Telegraph.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
goodness. It's all like I love it all, but it's crazy at the same time, right?
honestly, you can't write my life. You can't
Oh
write my
my
world. There's
goodness.
been so many weird things that have happened.
Wow, wow. I feel like I can speak to you all day long here, Maddie, but I know you've also got things to do as well. And so before we call this to the end of the episode, I know there's people here that's going to be like, "Oh my goodness, I want to connect with Maddie. How do I get hold of her? How do I learn more about what she does? Or even how they get their hands on their book that you've got, right,
Yes.
for them."
Yes.
So where can they go to connect with you and get your book?
So, I mean, I'm always complicated, but I'm everywhere. So, whatever social media platform you're on, you will find me there. Apart from X, because nobody wants to be there anymore. So,
No.
I'm on Instagram, Maddy Talks Money. I'm on TikTok, Mad About Money Official. You can find me on Facebook, Maddy Alexander-Grout, or LinkedIn, same. I am everywhere. And in every single one of my social media profiles, there is a little link to my Stand store, which is basically like a one-stop shop. So, you can join the membership. I only open it at the end of each month because it's so popular, and we get I want to make sure that every time somebody new joins, I know who they are and I understand their social media so that I can help them to grow. So we only let 30 people in at a time. So the doors are going to be opening at the end of the month after my masterclass, which is on the 26th of June. So yeah, you can basically find out anything about me from my bios, and my Amazon link for Mad About Money is there as well. You can go and check that out. Check out the podcasts on Spotify as well. Like, I'm everywhere. Like, I'm the person who everybody says, like, I see you everywhere. And I'm like, that's good for a visibility strategist. You kind of want that,
Yeah,
really. Because if I wasn't
absolutely.
everywhere, people would be like, well, you're a bit crap. So,
Absolutely. Totally get it. Oh my goodness. And guys, do go ahead, like stalk her out. Totally stalk her out on social media and wherever else that you can. Reach out to her, right? Connect with her. Because as you can tell, she's an absolute epic person that's gone through so many different ups and downs. And you know what? She's not letting any of this get her down. She's going, and she's going, right? Maddie, oh my goodness. Do you have any last words before we call this to the end?
I mean, I just want to say to anybody out there who feels like they're struggling with their business, like, think about neurodivergent conditions. And if you think that you've got ADHD, you're probably right, because we know our brains more than anybody else. And if you want to come and hang out with a bunch of awesome humans who like bring the vibes to business and make shit happen so that we can grow big, like, come and find me, because like the energy that we have in my world is just, it's really inclusive, it's really supportive. Like, everybody's welcomed, everybody's seen, and everybody's celebrated. So yeah, just looking forward to making some new connections.
Absolutely. Oh, awesome. So many golden nuggets in such a short amount of time. Thank you so much, Banish, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, it's been amazing.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening to Make Your Mark podcast at www.makeyourmarkpodcast.com. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get this and every other episode that comes out. We have lots of great stuff coming, so make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And thank you in advance for all the reviews and comments. I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to serving you in next week's episode.